Let's get right into it. There's a ton of confusion out there about how we talk about working with AI. The biggest mix-up? Confusing prompting with actual hardcore engineering. We're going to draw a really clear line in the sand today, one that separates a cool but fragile hack from a truly reliable, engineered system.
You've been there, right? I know I have. You spend all this time crafting the perfect prompt, you hit enter, and boom, the model spits out exactly what you wanted. It feels amazing. It feels like you've cracked the code, like you've found the secret password to this incredibly powerful machine.
But we have to stop and ask ourselves a really important question. Is that feeling of mastery, is it real control? Or did you just get lucky? Was that one perfect output a repeatable skill you now have, or was it just a fortunate roll of the dice? Honestly, the answer to that question changes everything.
Because that feeling, as great as it is often just an illusion. And building a system that relies on that illusion, well, that's where things start to go wrong, usually in ways you don't even see coming until it's too late.
This right here, this is the heart of the matter. You have to remember a large language model is not a calculator. It's a probabilistic system. That perfect output you got, it wasn't a calculated deterministic result. It was just one possible sample out of a massive, mind-boggling distribution of potential answers. You didn't engineer an outcome. You just happened to witness a favorable statistical event.
Now let's be super clear about something. This isn't a knock on writing good prompts. It's an absolutely essential skill, no doubt about it. But this is about a category correction. We have to put this skill in the right box if we want to understand its real power and, maybe more importantly, its limitations.
So, if it's not engineering, what is it? Think of prompt engineering as a super powerful optimization layer. It's how you communicate your intent to the model. You use it to make the output clearer, to get the tone just right, to make it more relevant, and to get the formatting perfect. It helps you get better outputs from the system.
And this table just lays it all out. Prompting is what you do inside the system, right? You're kind of in the black box, trying to coax a better result out of it. Engineering, on the other hand, that's about defining the system itself. Your job as an engineer is to control the behavior, to create the hard boundaries, and to give actual guarantees about how it's going to operate.
So here's the bottom line. Prompting is about refinement. Engineering is about control. And if you confuse the two, you end up building systems that look absolutely brilliant, right up until the moment they fail, and they usually fail in spectacular fashion.
So let's talk about that failure. Because when you rely only on a prompt as your main control mechanism, you're basically inviting a very specific set of problems. And the scary part is, these failures aren't loud explosions. They're more like a silent rot.
We can break these down into three big categories. First up, you have the failure of repeatability. Second, the failure of detection. And third, the failure of governance. Let's dig into each one.
This is probably the most common trap people fall into. You get that one amazing result and you think, great, let's build a whole business process around this. But here's the thing. Depending on a prompt to work the exact same way every single time isn't engineering a solution. It's just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. Okay, this one is way more dangerous. Imagine this. Your prompt stays exactly the same, but maybe the model behind the scenes gets a tiny update, or the data you're feeding it starts to change just a little bit. Suddenly, the outputs begin to drift. The tone gets a little weird, the accuracy drops, piece by piece. There's no crash, no error code, just this silent, creeping degradation of quality.
And this is a fundamental principle of engineering. A real system requires monitoring. But prompting, on its own, has no built-in way to detect that kind of slow, behavioral drift. So if you can't measure it when it starts to go wrong, you're not actually operating a system. You're just blindly trusting a black box, hoping it doesn't change on you. And finally, when you try to do this at scale in a real organization, it becomes a complete governance nightmare. You see people trying to bake business rules or legal constraints right into their prompts. Things like, do not give financial advice, or always maintain a cheerful brand voice. They look like policies, but they are totally 100% unenforceable. Because think about it. A rule you can't audit, you can't verify, and you can't guarantee, well, that's not a rule. It's a suggestion. And you don't build reliable, safe, and compliant applications on suggestions. A prompt is just not a real control mechanism.
So if a prompt isn't the right tool for control, what is? The answer is we have to shift our thinking. We need to stop thinking about writing single commands and start thinking about designing a complete engineering pipeline.
I absolutely love this analogy. A really great prompt, It's like a super clever shell command. It's useful, it's powerful, it gets a very specific job done right now. But a business doesn't run on one-off commands, does it? It runs on a deployment pipeline, a robust, repeatable, monitored process. The prompt is the command, the engineering is the whole pipeline.
And what's inside that pipeline? Well, it's everything a prompt can't give you on its own. It has hard boundaries and constraints that the AI can violate. It has automated evaluation and checks for quality and safety. It has feedback loops to tell you how it's performing. It has the ability to roll back if something goes wrong. And, critically, it has clear lines of ownership and accountability. This is the stuff that real businesses need. Which brings us to what I think is the most important takeaway from all of this. The real challenge, and honestly the real opportunity, isn't about who can write the cleverest prompts. It's about who can become the best systems thinker in this new world.
Let me say that again. Your value is not in your ability to type fancy sentences into a text box. Your value is in your ability to understand a problem deeply, to anticipate how it could fail, to design the right constraints, and to decide when automation is safe and when it isn't. The job is thinking.
And that's really the bottom line, isn't it? Prompting is a skill we use to interact with a fundamentally unpredictable component. But engineering is the discipline we use to wrap a whole system around that component to force its behavior to become predictable, reliable, and safe. That's the real work now, and that's where the real value is going to be created.